Hello world, welcome to the 145th climate change emergency protest here in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, USA. I'm going up to Climate Change Corner in a few minutes and I'll be protesting there. That's the corner of York Street and the square at Gettysburg. I ask anyone that's from the area to protest there. It's Climate Change Protest Corner and it's York Street and the square at Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. This week is number 145 protest. Next week is number 146. That'll be on September 24th. And the significance of that is that it's also the worldwide climate change protest. And I ask everyone to get involved with that as soon as they can, and not to pass it by next week and to make it, your own personal thing that you're going to protest every week. So the USA is in the worst drought in 1,200 years. The drought goes basically in the United States from the Mississippi River all the way to the west now. It's pretty severe, and the bad side of that is not only effect on people and animals, but also our crops. And we produce a lot of crops for the rest of the world, and I don't know if anyone realizes it, but food prices are going to go up big time because of the lack of crop production. It's basically two-thirds of the United States. Two-thirds of the United States on the map looks like that it's in some sort of drought. Not only with drought, but you get wildfires, you get hurricanes from the Gulf Coast because of the heating environment, and then the supercharged hurricanes as a result of climate change. In the West, there's heat, water shortages, crop failures, corn prices, as I said, have gone double. They used to be $3.50 a bushel, I think it was, and now it's over $7 a bushel. So it's doubled in price. So you can expect a doubling in your store too, most likely. News stories in addition to that is that 40% of younger people are considering not having children due to climate change. Probably a good choice, and until our governments of the world get involved and start doing something about climate change severely. You'll know when that happens, and you'll know when they're serious about climate change, because the actions will be as severe as what's happening around the world. And right now, nothing's happening, and they're not taking it seriously. It's just it's a horrible situation. Antonio Guterres from the United Nations Secretary General said that the world is out of time. We need to act immediately on climate change. He's been saying that for years, and he's been saying we're out of time for years. And I believe that this COP26 meeting in November is actually our last chance. There's no way that we're going to go forward after this. It's going to be pat everyone on the back and smile and take photos and everything with the other politicians. But in reality, this is the last great gasp of chance for humanity and life on Earth to survive. If they blow past this and wait another 2 years, we're beyond cooked. We're cooked now, and we're going to be beyond cooked if they don't do something for this November 26th meeting. So I really suggest that next week for the worldwide climate change protest, you do not, starting on September 24th, you do not let up until after the COP26 meeting. You'll know if anything of significance has happened at that point. So it's not asking a lot. It's 8 weeks of protest once a week or twice a week or 10 times a week, whatever you want. But you need to do something and keep up the pressure on politicians and prove to them and state to them that you want something done about what's happening with climate change and the future of any sort of life on Earth. And I'm not just talking humanity, I'm talking all life on Earth. So none of the world's government want change. None of them are hitting the Paris agreement for the climate change, hitting the 2015 agreed to numbers, and none of them are on pace to hit that. And those numbers for 2015 are also ludicrous in that it won't save much. Things are still going to spin out of control if we stay with strictly the Paris agreement. And people won't come out and say it, but it's a suicide plan, and it needs to go well beyond that. The easy thing to do is, if you'll see governments being involved, is no subsidies. It's easy squeezy. If they can't do this with the governments, there's no hope of getting past this. No subsidies to the fossil fuel industry, coal, oil, and gas. No new pipelines. In Minnesota, for example, in the United States, there's a thing called Line 3. And it's just like the Dakota Access Pipeline, which was Standing Rock, where the people protested and then got attacked by officers and sworn officers to protect the oil industry instead of the people. And they weren't doing anything, and basically other than protesting, they got hit with so-called rubber bullets and junk like that. So anyways, the Dakota, or the Line 3 that's planned from Minnesota from Canada is nothing but a tar sands transport. It's going to transport over 1 million barrels a day of tar sands oil, which is the worst oil on the planet right now. And it's full of bituminous carbon, and that it just burns dirty. And it's a horrible idea, and it looks like it's going to go through eventually, unless people really put their bodies on the line, and which they're doing up in Minnesota. You can't have, if the governments are serious, for example, in the United States, that's going to upset people that are, Joe Biden fans and everything. But you got to step back and look at the reality of it all, and not just be stuck in your political dogma. Yep, you believe your party is the right party, whether it's Republican or Democrat here in the United States. But the fact is, they're all basically the same and doing the same thing. One's in your face and will tell you that they're going to do bad things. The other one will be smiling at you while they do bad things under the surface. And one example of this is over 2,400 drilling permits have been issued by the Biden administration since January 20th. Now, that's not something you do when you're serious about climate change. 2,400 drilling permits since the January 20th. So what is going on here? They're not serious about it. They also authorized the Willow Project, which was started under Trump, there's going to be production in Alaska for up to 100,000 barrels a day. Now, a judge has put a stay on that until the government proves that they're not going to affect polar bears or the ecology or whatever, the environment. And it'll be a total farcical lie, but they'll get around it eventually because lawyers win, high-priced lawyers eventually win. So the Willow Project will produce 100,000 barrels a day, which eventually means over 1 billion barrels of oil over 30 years. And that is, a barrel of oil is 42 gallons or 3.7 liters. So you got 1 billion of those coming your way. Also, the Willow Project will open up a gravel mine. They're going to lay hundreds of miles of pipe and roads as well. So the whole place up in Alaska is going to be devastated by this, as well as the environment. So, the only thing that works to stop these kind of things are protests. You got to let the governments know, the world, that you're not going to take it anymore. And it's easy squeezy stuff. No subsidies to the fossil fuel industry. No pipelines. No new pipelines. No new projects. The 2,400 projects that Biden has issued needs to be pulled back and stopped altogether. They're not going to do it, though. All governments are operating as if there's nothing wrong. They're just doing the bare minimum or just plain lip service, acting like they're doing something. We need an immediate change of mind. The governments need to change, and it'll be mind-boggling. And if we're going to affect climate change, it's going to be mind-boggling as to how much action is being taken. That's how severe it needs to be right now. This is worse than all the wars and all the history of humanity combined. So if you understand that, worse than World War II, World War I, all the wars combined, there's no clear action, there's no clear plan to get things done. So, we need to get out of this whole mindset that everyone's in about, we can keep proceeding the way we are. So the government policies, no more lobbyists, no more oil lobbyists, no more money from the fossil fuel industry. If you are caught taking it, you get thrown in jail. That should be crimes against humanity. We need an economic mindset change. Capitalism right now sounds great. It's provided us with all this wonderful stuff in this town and everything. But there needs to be a new mindset about capitalism and endless growth and gross domestic product and things like that. We need gross survival product, gross happiness product, that type of thing. Because right now we will not survive 2030. And I believe it's going to come quicker than that, the way things are going. We also need something different than the Green New Deal that the United States keeps pushing. This has to go well beyond that, and not jobs. It's got to be survival, nature, how to get by, what are the chances of us getting by the next 5 years, let alone 50 years. Things need to be overhauled altogether. And how do we do that? Well, you need an educated public. The politicians are not going to do anything until the public becomes educated. Good luck, United States, because there's no desire to get educated, whether they're on a Republican, Democrat, or whatever sides they're on right now about climate change. There's no conversation. If you're not willing to talk about it, not willing to do the research, you're not serious about it. You need to vote. Public needs to vote. Better choices. People that will do the right thing rather than who will win. Yep, you're going to lose. Your party's going to lose. But at least the politicians in both parties know you're no longer clowning around and you're no longer automatrons. Yeah, you can try to change your party from within, but that is not working. How's that working out for you? So far, we got 2,400 drilling permits for the Democrats, and we also got the Willow Project. So that's no different than the Trump administration. Biden administration's putting out as many permits, blowing by the Trump administration, and doing as many almost as George W. Bush, an oil man. So that's where we're headed right now. We're on a death sentence to what's going on. So people need to be educated about climate change. I recommend you go down this webpage. I've got several years of climate change information. You can become pretty good at it if you watch it, look at everything. I need to be on the street. Nothing will get done without being on the street. If people aren't willing to get out on the street and protest, then nothing's going to get done altogether. So basically, we've been given a death sentence of lethal injection of greenhouse gases. And the question is, how much do you want to take in? Do you want to be guarantee failure and die, or do you want to, just have a painful, really sick feeling and get past all this? So the way around it is to try to get friends and families to sit down and talk and commiserate with each other. Yeah, it's sad, cry, do whatever you need to do, and then move on, get tough, and do these protests. Give yourself goals, what you want to do every week. Get out and protest, learn something new, learn 50 new things, whatever. There's tons of stuff to learn about climate change. I've been doing this for I don't know how many years, and I still don't know everything. There's no way you can know everything because the system keeps changing. So the persistence rule is what's important, though, is not to just do one protest and be done and said, I did that back 5 years ago. No, we need you out there every week. You need you protesting. You need to do these broadcasts. You need to get on here and just let others know that it's okay to get out here. You're not going to die, most likely. It depends on your neighbors. And then actually, having an effect on other friends and family as well. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. Maybe friends and families will pay attention, maybe they won't. Nobody listens to what I'm saying other than my wife. So, I'm a failure that way. But it's not my failure, it's their failure for failing to listen and failure to learn that we need to get out and do things right now. We can't keep going on this way. So it's not a good situation where we have marched off a cliff and we're now free falling. Whether you want to pull the ripcord for a parachute or not, when you have it right on your back, you can pull the parachute, but choosing not to and not doing anything and not acknowledging the fall is a good way to perish. So next week is September 24th. It'll be the 146th Climate Change Emergency Protest. It's a worldwide protest, and I invite everyone to get out. If you're not getting out today, please start on the next week, on next Friday, and get out and protest. You can do it early in the morning, late at night, whatever you want, and let people know that you're not going to take it anymore, and we all need everyone on board. So I'll see you then. Bye.